I'm just going to introduce myself to those who don't know me in the community, and then it's going to be I'll make it real short so we can get into Greg Hasberry here. My name is Kristopher James. For those who don't know, just a little background about myself. I work as a senior network engineer and also as a network consultant. I am a musician, specifically a trumpeter. I have been somewhat of a health and fitness enthusiast throughout my whole life, kind of part of my parenting and growing up. Played football in high school, was captain of the football team, played a little bit in college, and did 3 years as semi-pro, and also coached youth football for a few years. And ever since then, just, been big on health awareness, fitness enthusiasts, and it's part of the reason why I joined the community, especially since it's geared towards African Americans and health. And that's my quick summary. And Greg, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay. Hi, guys. I'm Greg Hasberry. I am the owner of Elite Fitness and Figure. We have been in business for 25 years. I am a former competitive bodybuilder, powerlifter, Olympic lifter. I am currently a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu blue belt competing in the IBJFF. And I am a kidney transplant recipient. So I am a renal failure survivor for the last 6 years. And just like Chris, former athlete, both of my parents were college athletes, and I'm here for the community. I think we have a lot to say. We have a lot of good input, and we're looking forward to bringing some knowledge and health and wellness to the community.
All right. So that is quite an extensive resume. I think I hear you say you're still competing?
I'm still competing. Yes, I am.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we know not to make you mad or run up on you.
Listen, just don't bother my last little bite of food. Other than that, you're safe.
All right. So that is quite an extensive resume, especially with 25 years of being over Elite Fitness. What I want to kind of get into is you mentioned the kidney failure, more specifically renal failure. So if you could just kind of give us a background of when you found out about the renal failure, and then we can kind of go into some questions in regards to that, the diagnosis, and how that was from your perspective dealing with the renal failure.
Well, 6 years ago, actually close to 7 years ago, I was diagnosed with stage 4 renal failure, meaning that my kidneys were shutting down. Strange story. I was preparing to compete again as a bodybuilder.
Oh, wow.
In the gym, having a great day, great workout. I was with my partner, one of my best friends, and had done a 500-pound bench press. I put the barbell back on the bench. I got up. I maybe took 20 steps and I fell to a knee.
Wow.
Next thing I know, some 6 hours later, after making it to my mom and dad's, I was in Brookwood Hospital where they were trying to figure out what was going on with me. And sure enough, that's when they found out, that I was suffering from kidney failure.
Okay.
Now, like most men, and I think we're gearing today, more towards, African American men, and again, health and wellness. I was typical. I was one of those guys that I ignored the signs. I was exhausted. I was going through a pretty stressful period in my life.
So let me pause you right there in regards to the signs. And what would you say what was the initial thought in your mind? Something's a little off. Like how I know you didn't find out until stage 4. Right. So you're at the end of the road at this point.
Right.
So
near death.
Yeah. So far as you, so it's two things here. We obviously there wasn't any regular checkups uh that
No,
you are aware of. Okay. So you
no.
no regular checkup. So far as how you felt, when did you start to think, okay, something might be wrong, but you
You know,
just said, I'm not going to go into the doctor.
6 months. Let me not 6 months ago. 6 months prior to that, I was going through a divorce. I was going through a custody battle, and I
Mhm.
thought I'm just tired. Here I am. I'm one of the most recognized, health and wellness coaches, competition coaches in the country. Oh, I'm fine. I can take care of myself. I could change my nutrition around. I could change my sleep pattern, reduce my stress. I'll be just fine.
Mhm.
But during that time, my blood pressure was increasing. My sleep pattern was non-existent, to be honest. Um, Food was, has never been an issue as far as bad eating habits. Maybe I wasn't, taking in enough. My fluid content was pretty decent, but maybe not enough.
Right.
And like most men, I thought, oh, I could just power through this. I can just make my way through. No big deal. Just make a few little changes and I'll be just fine. And lo and behold, God had a different, he had a little different plan for me.
Yeah.
And I found myself hospitalized.
Wow. Um, so we had a question here. Your BUN, did you know what your blood urea nitrogen levels were?
I did not know at the time, and that's an amazing question. And it's funny, my actual blood work is actually not very far away from me. I'm here in the gym, and I brought it, but I did not have it. But I did not realize that it was as elevated as it was.
Okay. And then they also asked about the creatinine blood test. Did you have?
My creatinine
Did you?
level was at the time I believe was close to a 28.
Oh wow.
And as I said, the other day when we were talking about it, I was a walking dead man.
Right. Right. Wow. Um, yeah, that is major, huge effect. Thank God you're still here today. But just to go through all the way to stage 4.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a point to take as men, because I know myself, as an athlete, you're taught from a young age, push, push,
Right.
push. If it ain't broke, you can still go. If you get past a feeling, drink some water, hit some mustard, you get back out there, you keep going.
Right.
Um, so, but obviously, when you look at it in totality, that is not the type of mentality we have to have in regards to our overall health.
No.
There's times to turn that on
Mm-hmm.
mentally when it's
Mm-hmm.
time to perform.
Correct.
But when we're talking about lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
your lifestyle, you have the checkups are very important. So in regards to this too, I know you said you kind of deny the fact of trying to get a checkup.
Absolutely.
Um, did you? What about in regards to your family? Has anybody else in your family has the same type of
Yes.
issues?
Yes, that's a great question. Right now, my father is actually going through renal failure and he's on dialysis as we speak.
Wow.
Uh, he is 83 years of age. And let me back up a little bit.
Sure.
After my diagnosis, I had another family member, a male cousin who suffered from kidney failure.
Mm-hmm.
He died. And then there were 3 other males that suffered the same thing. All 3 right now are on dialysis and
Wow.
waiting a kidney transplant. And then there's the first female, the first woman in the family who is now on dialysis again, waiting for a transplant. And so, these were things that were unbeknownst to us were a hereditary thing.
Wow. So you just basically, yes, it's hereditary. It's kind of going throughout the whole family.
Mhm.
Um, obviously, I don't know, it probably didn't register for everybody until maybe your incident of how severe
Mine, when
this can
mine,
get.
everybody started to take a notice.
Take a
And
notice.
fortunately, I come from a family of very active people, and lots of athletes of all types. The majority of us, we all actually kind of, again, coming from, two twin brothers who were farmers. And so everyone, is the lifestyle of eating healthy and maintaining and exercise is just something that is very normal, for us. But, there's some things, you can't outrun your genetics.
Exactly.
Right.
But that is very key to, in regards to why it's needed for regular checkups for
Mm-hmm.
certain traits that may be trending in your family. I know for me personally, diabetes and glaucoma
Mm-hmm.
are heavy in my family on both sides.
Right.
And me personally, I finally did my actual first blood test. I'm younger, so my mindset is, I get checkups. I never actually did a blood test, and when I saw that my HP1AC was, actually borderline basically pre-diabetic, and but like you know, I maintain, certain lifestyle of eating, trying to stay healthy, but the fact that I know gives me more awareness of what I eat. Even when I decide, what, it's the holidays, I'm going to go ahead and do a little, yeah, but then you realize, okay, you got to dial it back. You got to be more conscious, because you don't want to, you don't want to tip over to the other side.
No.
So that's very important. And in regards to the diagnosis, say, I know you said it was 6 years ago, and you have current family members who are on dialysis. Um, are you still on dialysis? What is your treatment like now?
Right now, I am on two forms of anti-rejection medications that keep my kidney alive. I remember starting off, and this is no exaggeration, I remember taking probably 15 to 17 different, prescription medications a day.
Wow.
It was a part of my personal fight and my personal journey to bring myself to a point where I'm taking as few, medications possible. Right now, I'm down to 3. And 2 of them, the interjection medications, I'm going to have to take for the rest of my life. So I was left with, no choice, but I also have a choice to better myself, better my body, better my mindset, and, continue to fight. This is funny because after, several of my friends, guys in the community, and this, of all places, this came up in the barbershop.
Yeah.
Guys had not seen me, for a while. I mean, boy, I looked like it too when I got back to the barbershop. The guys were like, "Man, what happened to you?" And we started to talk, about
Yeah.
and we talked about high blood pressure. I mean, that's something that's prevalent in the Black community. Again, something that we ignore. As Black men, quite heavily, and very few of us, can get away without having to use some type of medication. I know of marathons, swimmers, triathletes, all African American men, they're taking some type of blood pressure medication because, again, you can't outrun your genetics.
Right. And I'm glad you brought that point out, because we're talking about athletes here. We're talking about professional athletes, those who are top, and yet they still have to take these medications. And these are things that you may not always hear from an athlete, because nobody wants to really, especially as Black men, make themselves vulnerable.
No.
But it's those conversations that bring awareness so that we can all be on the same page about our health. We're talking about, those who are in their 20s, teenagers, like I said, you know how it is, you're trying to show the coach, you're trying to push, and at the end of the day, it's only good up until a certain point.
right.
when you starting to, especially if you feel something change and something's not right, you can't you can't tell yourself at that point, your mind, like, just keep going.
Yeah.
Mentally, your body is trying to let you know, no, there's something going on. You need to get this checked out.
You know,
Um,
I don't want to scare mothers.
right,
Mothers, some fathers, but
right,
I can't tell you how many concussions I played with.
right. Yo,
You
no,
know,
yeah, definitely. I,
so,
I I'm pretty sure I've had quite a few.
sure.
Your head is ringing, and you like, what?
I don't want
I'm
to
starting this. This is an important game. I'm just
right.
gonna keep going. You know, um, so you had the diagnosis. Yeah, I know you talked about when you first got diagnosed. Your mom, and you had some family there. What was that? Let's talk about what was the support like that kind of helped you get through, and then also, if you could go in a little deeper in regards to mentally, how you were able to handle this, because you said 25 years as an owner
Yeah,
of a fitness and bodybuilding company.
right.
You're putting out all these athletes. So we want to get a perspective from you in regards to how you were able to maintain that throughout this over the past 6 years.
Okay, man, we can go a long way with this one. Okay, so I'm going to back up a little bit. We talked
Sure.
about the blood pressure medication. We hear like certain things about blood pressure medications and how it affects you, how it affects your virility.
Right.
That's one reason why you see a lot of men want to avoid blood pressure medications at all costs. Here again, we're not paying enough attention to what's going on with our mental state. As far as from a personal level, on a personal stage, when I was told, I was in shock for quite a while. I
Mm-hmm.
want to laying in that hospital bed. I want to say maybe 3 or 4 days. Man, I was in denial, to be honest. And again, no way, this is not happening to me. I'm bigger than life. I'm the strongest I've ever been in my life. I've overcome every obstacle. But man, it was very real. You being a man who's been a motivator and being someone that pushes others, to um, achieve their goals and to better themselves. Let's be honest. We start this journey a lot of times in vanity, but
Yeah.
the mental aspect of it is 10 times greater, than maybe what we anticipated. And if we're not viewing it, as a whole, from a positive aspect on, as a whole, what we may view as positive could actually turn into a negative, at the same time. So, looking at it, from that particular aspect, it's probably the hardest thing I've ever done. And I personally did not understand the severity of it. And, through the process, they offer a lot of the social workers offer counseling, services. And, telling on myself to the, at least to the community that may leak out into the world. But
No, that's fine. Yeah, I think it's great.
I'm gonna put it out there. Man, I got this. I'm fine.
Yeah.
I can take care of this on my own. I don't need any help. Yeah, right.
Right.
I actually needed that counseling. And I ended up having a conversation with my brother. My brother is a former soldier, and a lot of them, they do their debrief and they come out and they're integrating themselves back into the normal world.
Yeah, civilian world. Yeah, civilian
The
life.
civilian world. And I
Yeah.
remember looking at me, and he looked at me with this face like, "Hey man, if I can do this, you can do it." And I said, "Okay, got it." I didn't need to hear anything else, and I ended up taking advantage of the services, and it also allowed me to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Share with my family, what I was going through, even though I knew that they couldn't really understand, the whole thing. It was
Yeah.
still to at least have them there. And I had a few good, really good friends and some clients that were just there. You know, it's funny. One of my best friends, I talked to him today, a former NFL football player. He would come by and he would just pick me up and just say, "Hey, you're getting out of the house today." And,
Yeah.
And it made the biggest difference in the world. And I didn't feel emasculated. I felt like a man, and I felt like I was heard. And that was the most important.
You said a lot right there. 'Cause I think a lot of men deal with the fact of, if I become vulnerable, I lose my masculinity, and that is not the case. Yeah, I think it's the exact opposite. It shows more mental strength to push through and say, hey, I do have a problem, but your goal is to correct it and become better. I was going to say this quote here from Rita Walker. She's a professor of psychology. And many people probably have heard of her because she's been on ABC and Good Morning, but she stated that over the last decade, the suicide rates in the United States have increased dramatically among the racial and ethnic minorities, and Black Americans in particular. I'm just going to jump down here. She said suicide deaths occurs across the lifespan and have increased even for our Black youth. But the highest rate of death is among Black Americans aged 25 to 34 years old. And, basically it's perceived that mental health related issues is kind of taboo for us, in the Black community. Getting help is seen as a weakness.
Right.
And we have to change that perspective for us to understand that, no, it is okay. Going to the doctor, seeking counseling is okay, especially for Black men, like, talk it out. We all know, when you internalize things that becomes other illnesses. Other diseases can stem from stress and mental and having, issues mentally. So it's, your example is perfect in regards to, you not only dealt with stage 4 renal failure, but during that process, you decided, you know what, I'm going to talk about this. I'm not going to let this just weigh me down personally. I'm going to bring the people that I trust around me and get through it. And here you are now, not on dialysis. You haven't fully recovered in regards to, you still have to take the medication, but you're at a place now where you can continue on with your lifestyle, as opposed to, say, if you had not have, what you would have internalized would have blew back on the illness that you're already dealing with.
And I had a couple of really, really dark moments.
Yeah.
Where I questioned, wow, man, and I wasn't sure if I was actually going to, expound upon this, but there are two different types of dialysis. There's one, in clinic hemodialysis, and then you've got peritoneal. I started off on peritoneal dialysis. My father was actually on it right now, and
wow.
You're basically connected to a 20 to 30 foot line. There's a machine. There's a line for drainage that that goes to wherever you wanted to go, preferably a bathroom, and it's taped to a sink. Where the discharge drops. And one of my darkest times was on that peritoneal dialysis machine that was connected to my body, and to be confined to that line was probably the hardest things I ever dealt with. I went into a very, very dark, very, very deep depression.
Yeah.
It was hard for me to take as a man. It was hard for me to take just as a human being. I felt chained. And it's kind of a harsh story, but I remember a day that my daughter at the time, she was 14. She kept trying to pick me up because I was laying on my side in the bed. I was too weak. I didn't want to get up. Promise you, I'm not going to cry when I say this story.
No, man, as a man, I mean, you telling, your daughter is, yeah.
She grabbed my arm. She sat down. She put my arm around her shoulders, and she stood up with me to sit up in the bed. She wasn't strong enough to get me to stand up all the way. There was something so intense about that moment that I couldn't let her down. And I know when we prep, for this, we kind of talked about the different aspects of it, but
Oh yeah.
I feel like the mental aspect of health and wellness is probably where things need to start. And we need to understand these things as a community. But there was something about that moment and watching her with tears in her eyes, basically, she was so upset because I couldn't stand up. And it literally took me 30 minutes to get to where she was from that bed to the kitchen table. And that's something that I'll never be able to lose that image, and lose that day in my mind.
Yeah.
From that particular point.
It fueled you. It motivated you.
It fueled me.
Yeah. And I can speak for the same as I can only imagine, as a father, I have 2 daughters. To, you go from picking them up, swinging them around,
sure,
come around full circle. You're not expecting this at this age.
No.
To have your 14-year-old daughter pick you up.
No, man, I still own one. I'm still in the top 20 at least in the deadlift in American records.
Yeah.
I've had that record since 1996.
Wow.
It was 869 pounds raw.
Wow.
And to go from that and a 500-pound bench press the day before I ended up in the hospital, and here's my child trying to pick me up out of the bed. Man, the mental game or the I don't know, the depression.
Yeah.
It's
this is really good because I even from the aspect of we have so many of Black men who are in the athletic realm, who choose to be athletes, and I think this is something very important for them to understand and hear.
Sure.
This whole recovery, just because you have to understand too. Then there's life after the accolades. Absolutely. And winning. Absolutely. And what we're talking about here is longevity. That's right. In your mental state, it's going to affect the longevity of your life, because at whatever your mind is dealing with, it's going to affect the whole body. I think we don't really bring, like you said, bring awareness to that part much. Right. But we have to understand the mental state of who we are affects everything else that goes on in our life, because if it's going to be longevity, you want to have a healthy life, then you have to talk to people. You have to understand that, if you're getting older, so there are certain things that you may or may not be able to do, right? And accept that, accept that and push forward. You still be the best who you can be, but understand that mentally, you still need to be able to talk things out, express what you need to express. And if you're struggling with something, there's even more of a reason for you to communicate that out instead of internalizing it, because it's like an exponential when it comes to the negative effects.
Like me.
Right. You push 500 pounds, and the next thing 20 steps later, whole life just changed. So we had a question, and I know you talked about a couple of medications that you had. What has it been like since COVID? Like, what is your routine now? So I guess it's kind of twofold. Let's kind of talk about the COVID lifestyle, but also mention the medications that you're taking and what they're supposed to do for you.
Well, man, this is getting deeper than I realized. So because of my speaking for myself and others who have gone through the same situation I have, COVID became a big one for me. And I was, when COVID, came about, and I guess that was 2020, into 2019, 2020, I had an 8-day stint in UAB because I was exposed and it hit me like a freight train.
Oh man.
Yeah. to be quite honest, because of the severity of it for me, I don't remember a lot of the things while I was hospitalized, but my anti-rejection medications did not change. But the largest effect that I had was the post-care, the care that I had post-COVID was still very much, it was probably more intensified than the average. And I hear the same thing for those who are going through chemotherapy, they're dealing with the radiation.
Yeah.
They were mailing kits to my home, and I had a satellite station to give blood and mail it back in because they didn't want to overly expose you anymore. You weren't allowed to go into the hospitals, but you were told, here's your kit, go test, mail it back within, I want to say the turnaround had to be 24 hours.
Yeah, yeah.
So there were, through the UN,
standard.
It was pretty intense.
Yeah.
And they finally, that was 2020, so 2021, I think that was about a 6-month period that, that I had to adhere. And, I was fortunate enough that my antibodies, rebounded in a pretty strong way. And I believe a lot of it was due to, being consistent.
Consistency.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's another key one too, in regards to recovery is the consistency. And it still relates back, I think, to mentally. I think sometimes people get tired and they just don't want to deal. They quit.
Yeah.
So that is a key statement right there. Is consistency. I had another question here in regards to, from the perspective of an owner, and you got hundreds of athletes, some that are competing, some that are not. How is that, what you have gone through over the past 6 years? How did that change or pivot your perspective or your take on how you approach being a trainer and a coach?
I'm still tough. No, okay. All right. I'll be a bit more.
You don't want to say too much on here,
No,
they hear you like,
no,
they say, wait a minute now, that's not the Greg I know.
No. Well, to be honest with you, I believe that for me and other coaches that I know, it opened up our eyes to, proper supplementation, implementing, consistent blood work. Women, I tend to find a little bit more on par with taking care of their health with my guys. And I think they get a little tired of me sometimes, but I'm like, guys, I need to see your readings. I need to know your blood pressure.
Yeah.
What, did you, and it's required, for me. It's a requirement when you work with me. I need to know when your appointment is, when was the last one? When's the next one coming up? I have recently introduced a young lady into my programming, and we refer to her, and she does everything from blood panels to stool panels, allergy testing, hormonal panels. She pretty much runs the gamut. And I watched this young lady for I want to say 2 years. She's originally from out west, and I still am not quite sure how I believe it was a marriage and a child that brought her to Birmingham. But I watched her and I researched her, and I asked questions of a few of her clients, and so that's been a huge resource. That's been a monster resource to have somebody that can actually give you and break down, your blood panels, for you. And
definitely.
It is like, it's like sitting down and talking about talking to somebody on a telemed, deal. So, for me, and I can't speak for other banks.
So you take more of a holistic approach.
Absolutely.
It's not just about changing the body outwardly,
No,
but you're focusing on the lifestyle specifically, and that what you're eating, what your
sure,
supplementation looks like, and
sure.
then what do those vitals look like.
I mean,
And,
there's after just the aesthetics, you
right.
know. I mean, it's great. It's great to have to have a six pack, big chest, big arms, man. But if you're dying inside, what's it for?
Yes. Right. And I know no, that's good, because I think a lot of us, especially in that 20 to 30 range, really need to hear
Sure,
that.
sure.
You can go and work out, but if you're not getting a blood work,
Mm,
every 6 months or quarterly,
sure,
going to the doctor, you know, then you really don't know how healthy you really are.
sure.
And we get caught up on, like you said, get caught up on the aesthetics. I'm
Right,
young, my
right,
HGH is high and
right.
I'm burning. I'm always looking good. I can eat a piece at night and still wake up with a six
Still look
pack,
right,
you know,
right.
but
And,
it's all of that is still, taking an effect. You just don't see it yet.
sure. It is funny. I still remember being, in my 20s and 30s. God, that was so long ago. but and my dad, man, Greg, you need to sit down, take a rest. I'm like, yeah, whatever, old man. And now, I mean, he had the biggest laugh. I looked at him and said, man, you a lot smarter than I thought you were. But,
Right.
somebody commented, I saw it go across the screen, that, social media, we live in the age of social media where everything is polarized. Everything is pretty. We go from the Kardashians to what is this, MTV on the beach or whatever. I don't watch
Right.
this, but all
Right.
you see are the washboard abs,
Hmm.
and you see the pretty spray tans. Like one of the doctors that I've had a relationship with here dropped some information on me probably 10 years ago, and I still talk to her all the time. She's a dermatologist here in town. The rate of skin cancer in African Americans is through the ceiling, and
Wow.
the amount of um, untested individuals that are showing up now with skin cancer is amazing. I mean, it's through the ceiling because it went untreated.
Right.
We just because we had melanin that we were immune. Now we cool,
Yeah. Immune. Right. Right.
right? No, no,
Yeah. Still need sunscreen. You still need all these
green,
things. Yeah.
right? Exactly. And you can't just apply it one time. You're gonna sweat it off. There's just a lot of things to really think about. And
Right.
some is you know we traditionally, honestly, we have not been exposed. To be truthful, we have not been exposed, and we need more forums. We need more opportunities to actually speak. There are several community projects, that I see going on now within the community, to bring about, health and wellness. I mean, we as a community may not have always had the best of healthcare,
Hmm.
or may have, we may be working, an hourly wage, and not, had, the access to, the care. These things are changing now. Again, back to the whole social media thing. We have the ability to be more exposed. We have to
Right.
take advantage, not just look at what's pretty.
Right. Same. Right here with now
Right.
included in the community. This is part of the whole the motive. The agenda here is to bring that awareness and talk about it.
Mhm.
We had a couple questions in the Q&A chat. I'm gonna go back. You may have mentioned it, but did your doctor, when you got COVID, did they recommend the vaccine?
Yes, they did.
Okay.
They did, and I did. I've done Moderna, and I've done the series of three,
Okay.
because and I'm not sure how the regular rules and regulations work in every city, but I believe I was in the second group, after the doctors and nurses and ENTs,
Hmm.
and then and actually we may have been all grouped in the same category. Those with who are going through radiation and transplant recipients. I know we were like in the first. first grouping. And, just like every other American, I was,
Right.
my God, man, I don't want to stick another thing in my body. If anybody knows anything about dialysis or even cancer patients, people who've been through radiation, you just don't want to get stuck again. You're over it.
Right.
But bottom line was, it's like, okay, do I run the risk of being hospitalized again? No.
Right. Exactly. Just you weigh it out. Like, okay, yeah, I'll go ahead. I'll get one more needle.
And everybody, and I'm not here to step on anybody's opinion. Everybody has their thing, and I respect that. For me, I was given another chance. Okay, what's one more thing?
Right.
It's just
yeah, that's good. And I'm going to switch hats back again. So, and I know this to be some of a controversy here, but someone asked in regards to bodybuilding, what are your thoughts on vegetarianism and veganism as a bodybuilder?
Okay, I wouldn't necessarily call it controversy. I call it a choice. There are a lot of successful vegan and vegetarian bodybuilders. I generally tend to find that they're some of the smartest ones, because their research and and the time that they put into their nutrition plans are intense. I have a really good friend, Tori Washington. If anybody, once you get done with this, go to IG, look up Tori Washington, the vegan bodybuilder. Send him a message. Tell him you know me. He was actually a sprinter at Tuskegee. And,
there you go. Tori Washington, everybody. Tori Washington.
I mean, one of the coolest guys I know. But man, the guy's got a physique on him that's hard to beat. And it's a choice. It's something that I feel like everybody deserves. I think you can be successful. I worked with a lady this year. She's a physician. She's one of my favorites. Just because she lights up a room wherever she is, and she's a vegan, and I don't know. I just love her spirit.
Yeah. That's good. No, that's good.
But it's not a controversial subject. I think it can happen. You may struggle a little bit. Plant-based versus the other. Okay, you may, again, you gotta find your groove. Not everybody wants to eat 2 pounds of meat a day.
Yeah, and then we have to, again, it's really about knowing, your traits genetically. Yeah. Some people just respond better.
Blood typing is huge. There
say that one again. I don't think half the black men probably know the blood type. You went up to ask.
Yeah, it is. It's huge. I mean, you find out so much about your gut health. You can find out so much about, how you respond to certain allergies, bloat, gout.
Right.
I mean, the African American community has suffered, and I've not known very many women, but African American men have suffered with gout. I don't know, years and years and years. I mean, ever since I was in exercise physiology, and we talked about nutrition. Every time you turn a page in your textbook, it's something about gout. And red meat content.
Right.
Blood pressure. So again, for me, this has been my lifestyle. So to me, it's not a controversial subject. I believe you should get in where you fit in, and not be forced to choose otherwise.
That's good. I think we don't have any more Q&A. I just had one question in regards to just the renal failure. In regards to preventative measures, what could you tell someone what they would need to do to just prevent this if it is hereditary, and if they did have it, just to prevent from having to get to the point where you have to be on the dialysis again?
Okay. Simple and easy. Hydration. Regular blood, regular blood pressure screens. I mean, if you don't have a blood pressure cuff at home, I mean, they don't cost a lot now. I mean, you can go buy one for 30, 40 bucks. You're going to waste 30, 40 bucks going out to lunch, sometimes.
Right.
So eat at home, blood pressure, monitor, for your bathroom or something for your kitchen table. Those are the two biggest things. Again, hydration is another thing. Sodium content. You should never cut your sodium, but a moderate amount, sprinkles of sodium, not necessarily sliding it out. I mean, honestly, I don't know if you still do this, Chris, but I remember suffering from heat exhaustion while playing football.
Yeah.
One particular summer, and my sodium content has never, returned to, being normal again. I actually have to salt my food.
Oh wow.
I've been deficient since I was 16.
Oh wow.
And
yeah,
this goes back to the social media comment. I was 13, 14 years of age playing varsity football, and I was noticing young ladies, and I wanted to look better and feel better. And I'm running outside with the bag on during summertime, trying to get in shape.
Yeah.
Watching my sodium content, because if you grew up I'm Asian myself. If you grew up in the 70s, everything was sodium. So I was one of those, and sure enough, it hurt me.
Yeah.
But if you're monitoring your blood pressure, your hydration, content is on point. That's not just something for that's not something just for the young. That's something for life. Those are two easiest things.
Yeah. And we just had one question pop in, and I think it's a really good one. What would be your advice to someone just starting on their journey mentally? Mentally, like, they're at a state where they realize, what, I think I may need to reach out to someone, but not really sure. What in regards to, for you,
journey on health and wellness.
Yeah, mentally.
Great question. Use your social media wisely.
I was going to say the same thing. It wasn't directed to me, but definitely yes. Yeah. I totally agree.
Use your social media wisely. Reach out to somebody in your city, somebody that with a great reputation, with a great, well-rounded reputation. Do your research. You don't necessarily have to have somebody with a master's degree in exercise physiology. If you just want to go get it, in the best shape possible. You don't have to go to a registered dietitian. You can find somebody with, with a nutrition certification and, a good personal trainer. But to prepare yourself mentally, be open-minded, understand that every day is not going to be your best day in the gym. If you have a screw up or if you slip up somewhere, nutrition-wise, and you ate a hamburger, you ate some French fries, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Just start over the next day or start over with the next meal. It doesn't mean that you have destroyed everything that you've done. You just may have had a moment, and it's okay to pick it back up on the,
right.
The next,
I think that's very important, as a statement where you say, never starting has killed more dreams than failing.
Exactly.
Like you said, you may mess up or you may slip up, but you just kind of keep chugging along. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people don't understand, there's a lot of, get quick, get fit quick, schemes out there. And you realize a lot of times the people that you're seeing have been develop a lifestyle from a child, or they're transitioned from this type of athlete into something else, so their response, their stimulus, to working out is going to be different than somebody just starting out. and just overall.
Here's a big one. This may be the biggest thing that I teach and that I want anybody, whether you train with me, any place you go, do not use exercise as punishment if you slipped up or if you made a mistake. It's okay.
That's good.
Pick it up
That's
the next
good. It shouldn't be a you shouldn't feel like it's a punishment at all.
No, like I hear it all the time. It's like, well, maybe I should go do some extra cardio. Like, no. So you're just gonna place yourself at a point of exhaustion where you don't feel good, going forward, or you're setting yourself up for failure. Basically, don't do that to yourself.
Yeah.
Now, if you're a client of mine and you listen to me saying this, I'm not saying go out and cheat. But seriously, exercise is not punishment. You don't have to push yourself into a place where you're not feeling good about yourself. It's there's nothing out there that's that deep that you can't recover from. And that kind of touches on,
says the guy who recovered from stage 4 renal failure. So I think you if any people could be the example to make that statement.
I appreciate it. I mean, it's having having a daughter that I will walk through a million hells for is a great motivation.
Right. That's good. I think we're kind of coming to a close here. I don't know if anyone else have any questions or comments for Greg or myself. I think what we can at least from this webinar, we can kind of take a couple things that stood out. Key is awareness in regards to hereditary traits.
Yes.
Especially for Black men to talk. If you feel something's off, don't shun it away, don't hide it, don't try to disguise it.
Right.
Get a checkup.
Right.
And then in regards to mentally, talk things through, find people that you can trust, get a professional if you need to. And when you talked about in regards to just overall fitness, don't beat yourself up, because you may have slipped up. I think people get caught up on the word diet, and really for me is more about just the right choices and lifestyle on what you eat, what you do, because diets, people get tired of diets, and right, it's the lifestyle, and I think that's what the focus should be, and everything we talked about today in regards to longevity, it's really about the lifestyle and having that awareness, self-awareness, and then knowing it's okay. You're not going to lose your masculinity because you talk to somebody about you're feeling bad.
Right.
It's exactly the exact opposite in my eyes. So exactly. I think this was really great. There's a lot of other things we probably could have touched on as in regards to talked about sleep. Sleep is another one that I think, yes, that would be a part 2, because I'm big on trying to maintain a circadian rhythm and how that affects you, your recovery, mental state also is all a part of sleep. But I don't think we have enough time to really go into that on this one. So yeah, we can right. Yeah, we can say that for another one. But if anybody else doesn't have any questions, I'm going to go ahead and close out. Greg, I thank you for coming in, sharing your story. Yes, I believe we had some thank yous here. A lot of people say it was compelling, it was intriguing, and hopefully that everyone would share this. Let your husbands know, let your sons know, let your fathers know, your grandfathers, your uncles, cousins. Tell them to check this out. Send them the link. Let them log in, check it out, and have them join the community. So thank everybody, and just hope everyone have a great weekend. Thank you.
You guys have a good day.
All right.
Take care.